Man, welcome in. Thank y'all for joining us. To whoever may be out there right now, I appreciate y'all for watching us as we coming to y'all this Sunday afternoon. It's freezing cold outside. It's raining wherever you may be in the state of Louisiana, potentially iced over in other states across the South. I know Oxford is literally looking like hell frozen over right now as it's covered in ice crystals. Nashville is getting battered with ice and snow and rain right now. It's miserable. But, you know, we got some flame and some heat down here in Louisiana to keep us warm throughout these times. And I just want to take a second real quick to thank my boy Boodacheese for hanging out with us this afternoon. Boodacheese live with us on Timeouts and Tangents. My guy jumping on the pod with us for the first time. Won't be the last time. So thank you, man. And we were talking off air, and we were talking about how LSU more so than the Saints, but the Saints has that effect too. How it brings communities together, and you were about to
For sure.
go on and elaborate. And I think where you were going is something that needs to be shared and heard. So go ahead and finish your point with what you were saying.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me, man. I'm honored to be on. This thing's about to blow up, so I feel very lucky to be here with you. But yeah, I think we talked about, off air, we're talking how LSU, the three letters, what it does. It's the common ground for people in the state. Obviously, Louisiana does have some, issues outside, but LSU is the thing you can get in a room with anybody and have conversations with. It's the door opener for so many people. It's what we're doing right now. We would have never met if it weren't for those three letters.
Yep.
It is so pivotal to the state, and I'm sure every other school feels the same way, but I truly believe LSU's different in that regard. I think It really is a unifying thing like no other.
It absolutely is. And I mean, it's not just because it's the only, Power Five school in the state. Because look, other programs like UL, Nichols, Tulane, ULM, they all have their footholds. People appreciate the McNeeses. Those fan bases still go out and support those schools. Those alumni still stand strong. But outside of ULL, those other schools and other fan bases also support LSU too. Like that's just what makes it that much more of a difference maker. You can have a Tulane grad who will still support LSU. You can have a person who went to UNO, to Xavier, to Dillard, still go out and cheer for LSU. They respect those three letters. They understand it is the flagship school and program throughout the state. It means something to not just go to LSU, but support LSU. It represents it's the pride of Louisiana. It is. And like you said, regardless of what room you may be in, when you bring up something centered around Louisiana State University, it draws the attention of that room. And regardless of what you may look like, what your beliefs may be, what your political background and standings may be, people push all it to the side because LSU means that much more here in Louisiana. And I don't think across the nation there's a single school that can pull people together like that can unify all these different cultures the way LSU unifies all of us. And that school, the programs, the things that it does, the people who are associated with it mean a lot to me because personally, in all walks of my life, I've come across different people who have flown that flag, who's graduated, who have experienced it and have made positive impacts on me, so I, had the privilege of going to LSU and experiencing it firsthand. So it definitely means a lot to myself as well. So, of course, when you get a football program, a basketball program, when you're the standard for baseball across the nation, you're going to want to rep that.
For sure.
It gives you something to talk about.
Look, and I'll tell you this, I'm a firsthand example of when you talk about you attend another school and I love LSU as much as anybody, but right here behind me is Centenary College stuff where I played baseball in college. I graduated from Centenary College in Shreveport, not LSU. Now, we didn't have a football team, so LSU was kind of our de facto, but that it's something I deal with a lot, right? I get the old T-shirt fan comment thrown at me a good bit on social media, especially here recently. But man, I don't know. It's like a religion almost. It's probably the best way I could explain what LSU football means to people in South Louisiana, which is where I'm from. So it's like it almost has that effect. Like people gather to worship it essentially. Like it's crazy.
Yes.
It's kind of like a religion.
It is. It's not, and not to give it that cult like feel, because it's not a cult. And but
No,
like you said, it is a religion. It is a set of beliefs. It's something that we all put our faith in. And on Saturday night at 6 o'clock, if you're not at Tiger Stadium, your evening is centered around the goings on of Tiger Stadium. We block out 6 months out of the year, from August to December, hell, even going back into July, because we're paying attention to fall camp, of what's going on for our product for Saturdays. Who is LSU playing and where are they playing? We're not doing any weddings. Don't do any baby blessings.
no.
Birthday parties better be on Friday or Sunday. Like, Saturdays are locked up for what's going on at LSU. And then when the football season ends and it rolls over into baseball season, depending on the weekend slate, who's coming in to Alec Box Stadium, we're not doing something for that either. So when it comes to LSU, like, it dominates the calendar down here, because it's our relief. Like, we
It's the thing.
right. Like, we deal with so much. Everybody highlights the negatives of Louisiana, right? The poverty, the crime rates, the lack of education. Cool, yeah, we got all that. But our escape is going on at LSU. And everybody has a right to kind of get away from their issues and get away from their problems. And the thing that we all share in common in this state is that school in Baton Rouge, that
It-
school on Nicholson Drive. That school is what alleviates the pain and pressures, the prejudices, the hatred that we all have to come across and deal with. And look, there are a lot of people right now who are pissed off and worked up behind Lane Kiffin and sharing that hat, like, you're not gonna make everybody happy. And I get,
no,
and look, I stay away from politics. And I
same.
get
And
why people are upset and worked up. But at the end of the day, he's a football coach, and he's a man with his own personal beliefs. And what he does in the privacy of his home is his business. Is he doing what he has 91 million reasons to do, which is provide a valid product for us to have our entertainment value on. That's it.
it's people got worked up about his post, but in terms of the job that he's done thus far, it's been incredible. Right? I was on TikTok. I was on a TikTok live yesterday having this conversation, and people are like, LSU's had the number one portal class before. My take is what Lane Kiffin's been able to accomplish since he got hired is a grand slam home run. It's an A plus 100 out of 100. He has to put it on the field. They have to play well. I
Yep.
believe they will. But what he's done thus far with the opportunities he's had have exceeded expectations.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
he hasn't been able to coach a football game yet. But what you want him to do, I mean, holy cow, dude. I mean, I thought the portal class was going to be good. I didn't think you'd get the three best players in it. I didn't think that.
Me either. And to piggyback off of that, I truly think and feel that when we were going into this, you know, I had blind faith, because it's a different set of circumstances. You watch Lane solidify himself before at Ole Miss, having a number one portal class, and in a school like Oxford, like Ole Miss, they need high evaluations of portal classes, because their high school recruiting will always struggle. They won't stack up against a school like LSU, or a school like Georgia, or a school like Alabama, where they have recruiting advantages that Ole Miss won't have, and high as far as high school is concerned. So you need to have those top level portal classes in order to balance that out. But him coming in here, knowing that, okay, the expectations are gonna be high, how can I exceed them? Like, you knew that you were gonna have to flip this roster. But not only do you flip it with elite level talent. Elite level talent that's not just 1 year mercenaries either. Like, yes, Brian Kelly did get the number one portal class last year. But what I did not trust in that class was the evaluation of it. Like, we had some exciting names, but were we going to put them in the places to highlight their true talent? I didn't trust that. And Brian Kelly didn't do anything to earn that trust. When you see players like Harold Perkins struggling to find a fit, when you see Garrett Nussmeier struggling to have a run game and proper support that he needs around him, when your true weapons that you really had were Aaron Anderson and Caden Durham, a true freshman going into next season, Trade as Green barely getting used properly in a good way in his freshman season. When you see these types of things going on the offense that could not run the ball unless Jaden Daniels was the quarterback. How could I trust that Brian Kelly was going to take the talent that he was able to attain in that portal class and say, yes, we got it right? Did I have high expectations for the season? Yes, but I'm not shocked at the results that we got either.
Yeah, I think the thing with Brian Kelly, and not to harp on it because it's in the past and everybody already knows and everybody's been angry, but it felt like in the portal last year he attacked star rankings and he
Yeah.
attacked ratings. And the team really felt this year like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. Like it
Mm-hmm.
felt like you were trying to do things outside of guys' limitations. Like trying to make Trey Green an inline tight end. That's just not what he is. He's never going to be that. He's basically what Jimmy Graham was. Like
Yes.
never going to be an elite blocker. He's a slow wide receiver. That's essentially what he is. Right?
Yes.
Jawan Johnson-esque player. Like that's
Yes.
what his role is. So I think the difference with this portal class is you trust Lane went get the guys that fit his system. Now, look, a guy like Jordan Seaton that he brings in fits everybody's system. That ain't just an LSU system. That fits everybody's system. But look at the receivers he brought in. You can understand why he brings them in. They all can stretch the field. He's got guys that can play in space. My biggest concern with LSU last year going in, every receiver felt like the same player outside of Nick Anderson. And Nick Anderson didn't touch the ball
Yes.
between injuries or scheme. But it felt like he had all one
The
trick
same
ponies
guy.
with the same one trick, right? Like
Yep.
this year I can go, okay, this is a physical guy. This is the slot guy. I can see the vision. I can see
Right.
okay, and I think you're going to play 10 receivers this year.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
But
You're
you
gonna
can
have
see
to.
it.
And then and I think that's the thing with this portal class. A lot of people are not really taking into account. It's not just the frontline guys, but it's the depth that we have at every position. See, last year we had frontline guys. We didn't have depth. Like you had your top taking receiver, your receiver that's going to take the top off, and Chris Hilton, but you still didn't use him right. And then when he was slow out the blocks, you tried to incorporate Barian Brown into that, but that's not really his style. And then you didn't know how to really fit him into the offense. You kept force feeding him
Mhm.
screens with a one receiver blocker on the outside, thinking that he's going to make two men miss, and that's not the case. So I feel like this year, going into this year, you have guys who are going to make this roster better because they're going to have to fight for the playing time that they're going to get. You're going to have competition out the gate, plain and simple. And that is what's going to make things better. When I think back to like as a kid growing up watching football, those early 2000 late 90s Miami teams. Yes, I'm old. Sorry. It is what it is. Watching those teams and hearing those guys talk about it, their hardest games were practices because they were trying to keep guys on the bench. And I knew if, and well, I'm saying listening to those guys saying that, like if I knew that if I could keep him on the bench, the game was going to be easier because there wasn't anybody better lining up across us than what we had in that locker room, plain and simple. And I think that's what this LSU team is going to be going into 2026. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I completely agree. I think we got to a point with the last staff where we viewed the portal as depth is not a possibility, right? I think we kind of gaslit ourselves into going, well, you can't have depth in the portal because these kids want money and they want to play. I think Lane has proven, no, you just didn't know how to sell the vision to kids.
Yep.
You didn't know how to sell. The only thing you could do was throw money at a kid and tell him, well, we're going to get you the ball 10 times a game. You had no plan. You didn't know how to sell. Hey, some games you may get 15 touches. If another kid's hot, though, another week, you may not. But this is part of the thing. And if we win, your draft stock rises. Look, what is it? What's the saying? What? Rising tides raise all ships, right?
Yes.
Like they had no plan to sell a vision. You're going to have a lot of depth. this offensive line is going to have a ton of depth. I think Glenn West put it out that you have 17 guys now and only two spots that we know for sure, and Braylon Moore and Seaton. It's a lot of depth, dude.
That's
the
a lot.
receiver room, we talked about it, and then the defensive line room is 2 or 3 with dudes, with certified dudes.
It's beautiful. I love the depth that we were able to build on our defense, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But touching on like what you just said about rising tides raising all ships, if you think about 2019, that receiver room was loaded, and you had a guy like Terrace Marshall get drafted a year later off of what he was able to do in 2019. Like you still had guys giving players off of that team shots. Like Thad Moss got a chance just because of what he was able to accomplish on that team. So yes, I think you're absolutely right and positively spot on with that. In the fact that you come in, you have a plan, you lay it out, and you elevate the program, and that will in turn elevate the player. And I think that's the vision that they're selling on the defensive side of the ball, because there's depth everywhere. Like you got it in spades. You got top line, front line players on the D line, and you got 5 stars backing them up, and they're ready to roll. You brought in the SEC leading tackler to play right on alongside of your literal defensive captain, and put on the bench the SEC second leading tackler. Like Devon Keys was second to TJ Dotery, and he's going to be your third backer off your third backer on defense.
Remember this: Whit Weeks led the SEC in tackles the year before. So you've got the previous 2 seasons leading tacklers, and yet Devon Keys is incredible. I mean, that was the one position before Daughtery that I was like, like it. I don't know if I love it. I like it, right, but I trust Blake Baker because I do think Devon is a very in the box backer. I think obviously he's an old school player. He is an old school linebacker, but you need guys like that. Like that's not a knock on him. Now Daughtery he's sideline to sideline, but you need guys like Devon. You're loaded in that room too because you still got Zach Weeks who plays hard as hell, and that means a lot. You got guys like
Charles Ross.
Like you got Charles Ross. You've got these guys that you know can give you really good snaps. Could they be every down starters? Probably not. But the beautiful thing, they don't have to be.
Right.
They don't have to be. We're 3 or 4 deep there.
Right. And that's the difference between now and then, is that we were relying on guys to come in that weren't ready to be starters, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And they weren't given the chance to grow, develop, and get acclimated to how things are supposed to go in the SEC, how things are supposed to be ran on an LSU defense. And then you have the emergence of a DJ Pickett. You solidify DBU by bringing in Ty Benefield and Fahim Delane. Like that Fahim Delane edition is probably the sneakiest edition of the entire portal class, because that's a guy who's a quality starting safety. I mean, you are a freshman safety, and you're getting reps at Ohio State when they have Caleb Downs on the field, who they got people coming out saying that he's the best nickel cover safety that would be in the he's one of the best that would be in the NFL if he'd have played in the NFL this year. So you got this guy pressing that defensive back room for playing time. You think he's not going to come in here and be a key factor alongside Deshaun Spears and Tamarcus Cooley? No, you gotta be kidding me if you don't think that.
No, for sure. And I think one thing that happens when we watch football games, I mean, I do it too. I think we all do it unless you have like a super high football IQ. And by that, I mean, like if you've coached football at a high level or played it at a high level, we tend to watch the ball. So I think people see sometimes and they go like, well, we already have Spears and Cooley and we brought in Benefield. Where's Delane going to fit? Dude, they rotate these safeties so much. And rotating secondary players is so important, right? Like I gotta say, the defensive back room is similar to a basketball team.
Yes.
You have to be able to rotate fresh legs in because they are covering so much ground on a consistent basis. So the fact that you now have 4 safeties who are SEC starters, that level of player, and then you have you have the star position, which I think Benefield's going to be a stud there, but that is a safety position.
Right.
you're gonna be really good in the defensive back room. Really good. Maybe
And
the
they're
best.
all interchangeable, and that's the biggest compliment.
That's the
Like
thing.
you can put Deshaun at the star, you can put Benefield at the star, you can put Tamarcus at the star, you can play Deshaun off ball, Benefield off ball, Delane off ball. It doesn't matter where you line them up, and then that just gives Blake Baker more creativity to change up the alignments and the assignments and confuse the offense because you don't know who's really playing what. But to me, the creme de la creme, the soul stone of this gauntlet was them being able to finish off that defensive class with the addition of Princewell, Human Yellen. And it's so elite because if you don't cover LSU enough, you don't understand how much they were missing being able to get pressure with the front four.
That's it. They couldn't do it. Right. So all I hear Ole Miss fans telling me on Twitter or on TikTok, wherever it may be, is, well, man, he can't stop the run. I'm like, I don't, that means nothing to me. I think he's going to
Right.
be better against the run. LSU could not get after the passer with just a pass. They had to get exotic. And I think that affects, again, I'm not a football genius. I just watch football and love football. I think that's going to help you against running quarterbacks too,
Yes.
where you can have a
Yes.
after people. And
And
Jordan Ross can also do it. He can flat out do it. And the name nobody's saying is Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown.
Sterling Lucas went handpick him. He
Yep.
wanted him. We don't have film on him. I think that kid has a chance to be the best of the three. When this,
Your edge room has gone from a C grade to elite status with the additions that you made. You had guys like Kalaj Cobbins, Dame Shanklin, guys that were on the come, right? Guys that were ready to take the step, but we just didn't know if they could or not. Now you have guys that one, they're proven, and two, you've seen ability. Now they just need opportunity. So, and then you get a guy like Princewell who had opportunity. You see the statistics and you see the results. Everybody wants to talk about his play against the run. Well, he wasn't a starter. He was the pass rush specialist. So
it's
you you're leading the team in the area that you're supposed to lead the team in. That
it's
was his job.
it's exciting, right? And then you forget like a guy like Gabe Relaford, who was hurt, who played really well for his injury. Like he's another piece when you talk about like the one trick ponies, which is the argument that Jordan Ross and Prince, they're both just pass. Relaford's really good against the run.
Yes.
You have this ability now to rotate guys in. You're not existing on this one player. Hey, you have to be otherworldly in order for us to be good on defense, right? Which we had that with Perkins for a little bit, where it was like, you have to get after the passer because we don't have another option.
Yep.
Now you can do different things personnel wise. You can stop the run. You can get after the passer. Blake Baker is kind of starting to earn, in my opinion, and people are going to push back, he's earning the credibility to go, I trust whatever he's doing. I
Yes.
trust whatever he's bringing in because he's showing that
Yes.
he's an elite coach on that side of the ball.
Yes. I think if this is the defense Harold Perkins needed to be in.
Yes.
This is the defense. Like for as much as we needed Harold Perkins really needed a defensive room around him to really rise his ship. This would have been the tide to rise his ship up because it takes the pressure off of him from having to be the guy. From defenses being able to single him out, whether it be in coverage or as a pass rush, as a spy. If you can point to seven and say that's the only guy we got to watch, cool. We can game plan around that. But when you have guys within that front four, like a Gabe Relaford, like a Prince Will, like a Jordan Ross, Kalaj Cobbins, like the room that you have, and you can just drop seven back and rush four, that makes the difference because let's say we add one and then subtract one off the line. You don't know where they're coming from. You can't tell whether they're lining up in zone or press man, whether they're playing cover 3-6 on the back end. It makes it so much more exotic. And that's where Blake Baker can get into his bag. That's what allowed him to be such a dynamic defensive coordinator at Missouri because he had edge pressure, true front four edge pressure. So for as much as we like to highlight the steps that the defense made last year, we haven't seen it peak, and that's what has me excited.
No, and that's probably ultimately why Blake didn't end up taking the Tulane job,
Oh
because he was aware too. He also could look at it and go, I don't have all the Infinity Stones yet. Let me
mm-hmm.
let me get this thing assembled, and let's see what we run out with. Now, look, I'm also not naive that replacing Mansour Delane is a big lift. I think DJ
Yeah.
Pickett's stud. I think Woodland is so good. But when you replace, maybe a bold take, I think the top 3 corner to ever play at LSU.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's as good as anybody that's ever played cornerback at LSU. It's a big lift.
Yeah, it's a huge lift. You're absolutely you're spot on. I think we're just fortunate to be in a place where Pat Pete leaves and you have Tre'Davious White right behind.
You
You know,
keep
like
rolling through them.
you just keep rolling. So it's not like the drop off is going to be that significant. It's not like when Derek Stingley left and we were hoping Greedy Williams could step up. Like we were hoping that we had the next guy, and it just fell off a cliff because of the poor mismanagement that we had in the back end of everything.
Oh, dude.
I, and then to highlight another thing too, and I thought about this morning. Well, actually last night. The one offense that you see Blake Baker struggle against is Ole Miss. Yes, he has issues. Yes, he has issues defending against mobile quarterbacks, but that's really been at LSU. That's been an LSU problem, and that's because we've had a lack of the athletes that we need, and we don't talk about that enough. We just pin it all on the coach, but that's on the staff recruiting and development. But the offensive system that gives Blake Baker real trouble is Ole Miss. It's Lane Kiffin. You mean to tell me he gets to spend all offseason breaking down this offense, going up against this play caller, play designer, and schemer, sharing an office space with him and getting feedback as to how are you able to get my defense to do X when we want to do Y? How much more elite will that make him as a defensive coordinator, do you think?
I think the sky's the limit with that, right? I think, and it's one of those things where it's like a perfect world for a guy like Blake Baker. Like, I think everybody talks about the guy who benefits the most from the Lane Kiffin was Trey'Dez Green. I think you can make the argument it's Blake Baker. Like, there's a chance he gets out of this after this year, and I think people need to buckle up that you ain't going to have Blake for long.
That part.
He's going to be a big-time head coach sooner than later, whether it's next year or the following year. I can't see him being here 3 years.
Oh, no. 2 at the most.
But, yeah, I mean, and he also gets to, like you said, it's not just to practice against him. It's to sit down with Lane and go, let's watch the LSU Ole Miss film. Tell me what you saw that I'm not seeing, because I can't solve this mobile quarter, this stuff that you do, which it's a lot of motions. It's a lot of get guys in bad matchups. I mean, as an LSU fan, you should be thrilled. It's the best situation for your defensive coordinator, because his one weakness, the guy who can the guy who can expose it is in the building now.
Right. Absolutely right. And I think when you look at this, just from a standpoint of having the right people in charge, that's the most elite step that we've been able to take for an administration since Nick Saban. Nick Saban was a defensive guru, right? After Nick Saban, we had Les Miles. Les Miles was not a guru or anything. He just had a magnetic personality. He was very charismatic, and that's why he could recruit his ass off.
Yeah, people don't do not give Les credit that Les worked his ass off.
He worked his ass off.
People like to make fun of the eating grass and the mat. He worked his ass off. Was he a genius? No. He worked his ass off.
And that's what we were missing when we went to the later years of Ed Ogeron.
Yes.
Ed Ogeron came with the same aggressiveness that Les had early on. The same passion, the same fire, and then he tasted success. But he was a master of nothing, but he had a charismatic personality, and he worked his ass off. Once he tasted that bit of success, it set him back. He dialed it back a little bit. He wasn't as intent. He let it slip a little bit.
He got obsessed. So I knew some people in the building with Ed. He got a little obsessed with this being better than Alabama thing, which hurt his recruiting, because he went go and identify guys that he thought were studs to going, how can I get higher rated players than Alabama?
Yep.
How on signing day, and I mean, there was stories that have come out that I've heard that are people would bring kids and he would be like, "What? Oh, he's no desires. I don't want him." And the
Right.
kid turns out to be an all SEC player down the road, and because he was just trying to go, how can we be? And he got and then the off the field stuff happened with the wife, and then COVID. It was a perfect storm for that one to go downhill.
Right.
But
Absolutely right.
it's also what you didn't have in Brian Kelly, which is what, like, I don't think people understand, like, the fit thing. It ain't that Brian Kelly said family. It ain't. It's that he didn't work.
He
It's
didn't work.
the stories of Jordy Collada told the story to Jock about the day of the Florida game this year at noon. He's riding his bike and Brian Kelly's out in front watering plants. Well, that's he's not working. Like, that's
Right.
the fit problem. I don't care what he talks or what he says. He didn't work, so it didn't fit because he didn't
See,
care as much as we did.
right, and I think that was the problem with hiring Ed, is that it cast a shadow of like LSU needs a guy that's from Louisiana. No, you don't. You don't need to be
Yeah,
here to understand this culture. This culture is very simple. Give it everything that you have.
that's it.
Show that you give a damn.
Care as
Put in
much.
some effort. Right. Put in some effort. Show that you want to earn your paycheck, and we're going to give you more than what you're asking for. And that school is the exact same way. And it's why you see Lane is reaping the benefits of being in the building at 4 o'clock in the morning and not, I'm not even going to say leaving, but not posting that he's leaving until after 11 o'clock at night. Nobody right now in college football can tell me that another coach is working harder than Lane Kiffin.
There's no way. No
You
way.
cannot tell me that. And I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing LSU colors, because I'm draped up in purple and gold right now. I'm saying that because I'm seeing the results of it. You have a head coach who sees, oh, damn, I screwed up. Let me go and take the extra effort to cut Sam Levitt off before he goes to Miami, to let him know, like, this is how serious I am. Like, in the Brian Kelly era of recruiting, it would get to a point to where if a kid started taking other visits, I personally would say it's over.
Because
Like, it's right.
we almost
Just
would convince ourselves to go,
yes,
well, he don't want to be here, then screw
move
him.
on. Right.
You
Let's just
can't
move
operate
on.
that way. If you think these guys mean something, you got to go with reckless abandonment at them and go, we'll do whatever it takes. Which is
Yep.
why, like, while we're on that topic, I'll bring this up. The narrative when we fired before we fired Brian Kelly that week was, you can't fire Brian Kelly, you have no money. That was the national rhetoric.
Yep.
LSU's broke, they have no money. You had this deficit, you have no money, you're broke. That turns around and LSU is as rich as anybody. Now the conversation is, well, you spent whatever number it is. You spent $5 million on Jordan Seaton. Here's my personal take. I don't care what they spend.
I don't care.
I just want to win football games. I don't care if you gave them $20 million.
Right.
I don't care. It's not my money. When they start taking out of my bank account, they don't have.
Talk.
But and here's the other. If they need my bank account, brother, we're not going to be very good.
Right. We ain't going nowhere.
We're not going to win.
We can go get the guy at McDonald's in the drive-through.
We're not going to be. I'm going to have to go play because
Right.
like, so until that day, I don't care how much they give them. I just want to win football games. That's it.
Right. You're absolutely right. Like, I remember telling my son. My son is a junior in high school right now, so we're going through the recruiting thing. And we went to an LSU camp, and he met Brian Kelly, and I said, well, look, get used to it, bud. This man signed a 10-year contract. You know, he's got 90 million guaranteed. He gonna be here by the time you graduate, because LSU ain't firing him to pay no $60 million buyout. And then when they fired him in October, I said, AJ, I was wrong. I thought LSU was broke. I thought we couldn't afford to pay these things. I said what it was our big money people just weren't pissed off enough. And see, Bryce Underwood. So thank you, University of Michigan. Thank you, Dave Portnoy. Thank you to Larry Ellison. Thank you for donating to get Bryce Underwood, for lighting a fire underneath our boosters' asses, to show them, like, yeah, we can talk shit, and we can pay shit too. And then thank you to Texas A&M for kicking our teeth in and saying, hey, you need a change right now in the culture. And and reinvigorating the passion behind this brand, because now you're showing schools that, oh, it's Oregon that's got the money. Cool, we'll go toe to toe with them in a recruiting battle,
Who cares?
and
Yeah.
we're gonna fly private jets all over the country for the recruit that you thought you were getting, because LSU was a distant thought. It was, when it comes to Jordan Seaton, it was, oh, he's likely intended to go to Oregon or Texas. LSU may get in the mix, but we don't know yet. And not only do you shove Oregon in the locker, you drag the locker down the hall and throw the locker out the school. And you did it twice to both Oregon and Miami for the two biggest recruits in this portal cycle, the quarterback and the left tackle. And not only do you make your program better, you hold their program up. Like, you hold them up on their development. And now they have to go figure things out for themselves. And it just shows you how important, and just the fact that you can play with the big boys. You can play with Texas. And you silently put Texas in the locker too. Because don't let it slip out that they didn't want Jordan Seaton. No, they just opted not to go get Jordan Seaton because of what was going on.
Texas got caught with their pants down this portal season. I really believe that. They'll push back and go, but we got Cam Coleman and Smothers. I think they got caught with their pants down. I think they thought the big money was just going to continue to be, well, everybody knows we have money. I don't think they had a real plan in place. I think they just thought, we're going to run out these Lambos. We're going to throw around big checks. And I think what happened is other schools such as LSU or Oregon, but specifically LSU went, we've got the money and I have a plan. So do you want to be rich with a plan to get I can lay this out on paper what this is going to look like for you.
Yep.
I think Texas just went, well, we have the money. And for the most of the portal era, that's all that mattered, because nobody knew what to do with the money. It was like, we just got to get guys in here. And I think they got called because they also wanted Kawan Lacey.
Yeah.
They wanted Kawan Lacey, and he told them no when he grew up, 30 minutes from campus.
Yes.
They wanted him. That never got public because he never entered.
Yes.
They got pumped.
Just like they wanted the running back from Florida.
Oh,
Jaden Ball. They wanted Jaden Ball. That was the whole point of bringing Jabbar Jalute, because that was his inside track to getting Jaden Ball. Like, nobody's stupid, but you didn't work your plan right. You thought the logo was enough.
If you want to answer the question, Jabbar Jalute made me think of this. How much do people in the coaching circle and within college football look at LSU as a threat? Watch what the schools surrounding you, how they hire people.
Mm-hmm.
Texas now has Jabbar Jalute, who is a New Orleans guy, and Brandon Harris. Yep. These schools try to load their recruiting departments up with guys that can walk into New Orleans and have a presence. They know you have to get in there. I don't think it means a lot, but
that shit don't mean anything.
But that is like, when people go, why do you think we're worried about LSU? I don't care if you're worried. Your school is, because they're hiring guys that they're trying to make sure they have a tie to the recruiting grounds. Right. They know what's going on down there. That's why every school does it. Every school around hires ex-LSU guys or Louisiana dudes to make sure they have a footprint.
I have a secret to let out. What up, Paul? What up, Joker? Thanks for joining in the chat. But I got a secret to tell y'all. That don't mean a damn thing. It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you why it doesn't mean anything. Because LSU is just different in this regard. They don't care who the coach is. What they care about, especially parents, is my child going to be close to home? Is he going to be able to receive the branding and education and exposure he needs to get to where he wants to be? And 3, if you have parents that care about degrees, will he be able to receive a solid education if the NFL doesn't work out? The number one thing is he close to home? Yes, the recruiting ground in Louisiana is absolutely fertile. But Baton Rouge is, from all the major cities in the state, is only a 90-minute drive at the most. When you talk about going to North Louisiana, we're talking about 3.
It's still right there.
It's right there. Like, Would you rather your kid drive all the way clear across to the other side of Texas or the other side of
Yeah,
Mississippi
I
or the
think
other side of Alabama?
to put it in perspective, a kid from Shreveport going to LSU is about equivalent to a kid from Dallas going to Texas.
Right.
Like that's about the equivalency, and I think sometimes that's easy to overlook because there isn't those don't feel the same. But that's about what it is. It's still super close. Like you can get anywhere in the state of Louisiana in 5 hours or less. Like there's
Right.
nowhere you can drive from corner to corner and it'll take you like 5.5 hours.
It's a 5.5 hour from my seat right now in my living room to Shreveport.
Yeah, like that's what it is. Like right,
That's it.
it's
And
a day,
I'm in New Orleans.
right.
I
It's a
am damn near in the Gulf. So when you have these coaches who are making these judgments on this guy has ties to New Orleans, well, what do those ties really mean? I mean, yes, Oxford got Frank Wilson.
we
Congratulations.
we can talk about Frank.
Oh, I'm saving Frank.
We can
Don't
talk.
worry, I'm saving Frank. Texas took on Jabbar Jalouk. The last big New Orleans recruit Jabbar Jalouk got, I can't remember. And he was a former head coach at Edna Carr High School. And I can also tell you this. My son played at Edna Carr High School, has a state championship ring, and I never saw Jabbar Jalouk there. I was at Edna Carr campus every single day watching practice, picking my kid up from school for 3 years. Never saw Jabbar Jalouk there at all. So
It's so I don't know if you want to get into Frank. I have some
let's
thoughts.
go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead.
I like Frank a lot. I think what Frank has done for the program should not be understated. But I also think it's been a really long time since he did anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think the rhetoric that Frank is the best assistant coach in LSU football, it's just not true. The best assistant you've ever had, best position coach, I should say, is on your staff right now, and it's Corey Raymond. What Corey's done is light years past what Frank did. Because everybody, look at what Frank brought in recruiting. Leonard Fournette's a terrific get. We're talking about a decade ago, though. This is a decade, right? Like, at some point, and then I look and go, we talked about earlier on here, what was the problem with the rosters? The talent wasn't there. You were the recruiting coordinator. Your job, why were we not? How is it possible you're the recruiting coordinator? You're supposed to be the godfather of recruiting, is the tab people want to put on you, and you didn't bring in one running back this year.
Right.
Your running back room was going to be a true freshman. You thought two true freshmen in JT Lindsey and Harlem Berry were going to be your saving grace. You didn't go get a portal guy. You didn't do those things. So I liked Frank. I thought Frank was a good interim coach. I don't know what happened at the back end. There's all the rumors. I don't know. I don't like the rumors I heard, but it's crazy how it got to where like LSU can't exist without Frank. It was crazy.
That was so like devastating for me to hear. Like our future was so tied to the trailer of Frank. Our trailer was tied to the truck of Frank Wilson. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
it was crazy.
That's not the case at all. Like, do I think Frank is a good man? Yes. Do I think he was an elite recruiter at one point? Absolutely. Do I think he is still at the same level of recruiter that he was when he was at his peak? Hell no. I remember the 5-for-5 event. And we whiffed. That was supposed to be his thing.
Let's put it this way.
I know for a fact, not to cut you off, I know for a fact that Frank likes to recruit in his own way because he feels like he's like the guy. He recruits like he is Nick Saban.
Yes.
Like if I show up on the scene, you're gonna want me more than I want you. And guess what? These kids these days don't give a damn who you are. They care about the relationship that you build with them.
Exactly.
They don't care about what you've done.
I can give you an example right now. If Frank still had his fastball, you think Easton Royal would be committed to Texas? And also, I'm going to tell any Texas fans that are listening, buckle up.
Oh, he ain't going to Texas.
All in on that kid. He's
going to Texas.
He ain't going to Texas. I'm not saying he's going to LSU, but he ain't going to Texas.
The moment, and I'm not saying he's coming to LSU. I'm not saying that right now. But what I will say is this: the moment Lane Kiffin was hired at LSU, I knew that Texas commit was fluky. I graduated from Brother Martin. I know how those administrators look at Brother Martin football and how they care about the connections that they have to LSU football. And anytime they can get a kid to go from the Brother Martin football field to Tiger Stadium, that administration is going to do what they need to do to get that kid over there because that's going to highlight exposure and open up doors for them.
They do it in baseball
They
too.
thank you. Like
They do it
I know. So Trey Morgan, I own and operate a restaurant in Metairie, and Trey Morgan used to come in there all the time in high school. Like he and I have pictures together, and that was one of the biggest things in his recruiting was the the school helping him get there. You know what I'm saying? Like making sure that those connections were established. And now that you have a guy like Lane who's going to relentlessly recruit him, it's up. It is up for Eastern Royal. And another thing, another example, the number one cornerback in the state of Louisiana in the 2026 cycle was Hayward Howard Jr. from Edna Carr.
Mhm.
How is this kid not going to LSU? And I can tell you how, because Frank Wilson was supposed to be the lead recruiter for him. And Frank Wilson tainted that recruiting.
Mhm.
I know the stories. I know why it didn't happen. And that's because of Frank. That's because of the failed relationship Frank was not able to establish with that kid.
because
Plain
in
and
the
simple.
current day and age, you can't show up with the these hoes need me mentality.
Yeah, yes.
You cannot
Yes.
show up with that. Which
Yes.
I one thing, and look, I think every school recruits. I think one thing Lane does a terrific job of is all the assistants post every school they're at. You know their
Yes.
work. You know
Yes.
George McDonald's been to 25 schools in the last 6 days. You know Lane's been to 15 schools. You know they're out there on the board. So if you're a high school kid, you know these guys are out there. And they're making it public. They're making it public that they care about you.
Yep. Absolutely. Like they're showing the world like, hey, look, we're going to see him.
Yeah.
Like I want y'all to know. Like we're not trying to keep it a secret. We're letting you know LSU is on this kid, so you better buckle up for a ride.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're shooting our shot, and you better come loaded. Plain and simple. And I know, like you talked about Corey Raymond being the best LSU assistant. Me personally, the second best assistant that LSU has had is back on the staff, and that's James Craig to me
Would agree with you.
because of what he was able to do with their offensive line every year that he was here. The
So,
last time you had a great offensive line was led by James Craig.
well, you want to like I think you can always point to who's an elite coach versus who's not.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at the guys who bring in guys that when you sign them or they commit, you go, they played where? I mean, Craig had Damian Lewis, right? Like,
Yes.
but if you look at this new staff, they don't care. And Lane said it in his press conference. We're not bringing kids in based on what they're rated or where they went to high school or where they went to school. These guys are going find guys that fit the LSU system. What is going to James Craig did it. Corey Raymond has done it for a long time. I mean, look at PJ Woodland. PJ Woodland was a free who might be a top 10 corner in the country when it's all said and done.
Yeah. I'm looking at what Paul put in the chat. He says, I don't care what Frank ever did for the program, the way he acted in the building before and after he left ruined everything. Make sure he took that Columbine trench coat with him. And then he said, Frank told Royal to go to Texas as soon as Wilson knew he wasn't being retained. And that's something I can definitely believe. Because you start sowing those seeds of it's easy for someone who's losing their job to start sowing those seeds of doubt into those kids about what their future and their connections at LSU will be, going forward. But going back to what you're saying about the offensive line, when I posted a video that I made yesterday with the New Orleans beat track, which I absolutely love. I didn't think that it was going to be as well received as it has been on Twitter, but I listened to that Lane presser again, and he wasn't shy about letting you know what he was doing.
No.
He laid it out, and he kept his word. And like you said, he said, I don't care about what school someone goes to. Like, we're not going recruit and sign kids just because they went to a certain school. He knows what he needs And I love the evaluation process that he has because it's more along the lines of how are pro scouts looking at you? What is your path of development and how does that incorporate to the system that we have going on here? And either you translate or you don't. I don't care if you're a 5 star. I don't care if you're a 4 star. I don't care if you're blue chip this, blue chip that. The fact I love what he did and I hate it for the kid, but you look at a guy like a Kenny Darby from Airline, who is elite, one of the probably one of the hidden gems of this recruiting class.
I would agree.
Lane came in and said, like, look, you don't fit what we want. And Kenny Darby was all in on
All
LSU. All in. But I have to respect what Lane had to say. Like, you don't fit what we are bringing in. You're not the style of receiver that we want for this program. So it's best for you to go find make your way somewhere else. And you got to respect them for that. Not just taking a kid just to take a kid.
They've done it a ton though, right? Like Jackson Harris. But then you look at like Tyree Holloway, Josh Jackson, like these guys they got from McNeese or what was it, North Florida? Like these guys that they're bringing in. I think one thing LSU fans are going to have to get used to is Lane recruits a lot based on traits, not finished product. He goes look for guys and he's got elite speed. Let's see if we can make something of it. Where I do think the previous offensive recruiting staff viewed it through they want it
ready.
They wanted guys who were the total package, which is why I don't think people. My biggest gripe with Brian Kelly for a long time was like, why are we not playing the freshmen? I don't care. It was like the Whit Weeks thing. Why
are you holding them back?
He misses assignments. I'm okay with the assignments, but he's clearly different than everybody else when he's on the field. It's a different level of player. I understand if he's making mistakes, but you let him learn in live action. But Lane's not going to do that. He hasn't done it at Ole Miss. He didn't do it at Alabama when he was there. He is going to take the best players and go get your bumps and bruises. And if it doesn't work, we're going to roll another cat out. I'm not tired. I think it's going to come to fruition with the Sam Levitt situation.
Oh, yeah.
This job is not 100% Sam Levitt.
It's not. Right. It's not.
Clark lights it up. There's going to be a quarterback.
It's open season. And that's why, in the beginning, I was saying that once Clark got into the boat, I knew it was either going to be Sam Levitt or Hassan Longstreet, but I was not ready to rule out the possibility that it was one or the other. And I can also understand how Lane approached the conversation with Hassan, letting him know, like, look, while you may not start, you have the opportunity to show why you should. You got all spring to come in here and have an advantage while Sam is sitting on the sideline recovering.
You have the upper hand. You get to fire the bullets.
Right.
You get to build the relationships with receivers. You get to have the chemistry built. You have the upper hand. So
and guess what?
That kid can play.
They've already started.
That kid can play, dude.
They've already started throwing. They've been out at the field already throwing. Him, Landon, and the receivers. They've already been out there. So they're getting their timing down.
And they should be, right? Like it's crazy that we say stuff like that now and we're like, man, look at them working because we just had guys that weren't previously. Like I know for a fact Garrett Nussmeier was not using the VR.
No.
I know that.
No.
Like, that's not even a guess.
That's not even a guess.
I know.
I've heard the same thing too.
And Brian Kelly told you as much during the season when he went, we're going to start getting him on the VR. And I'm like, what do you mean start? What do you mean start? Because we just had a guy who won a Heisman Trophy who credited like half of it because, I got to do the VR, which is why my decision-making got so much better. And you had a quarterback with decision-making issues who didn't want to use the VR. Well, then that's a him problem and a coach problem.
Right.
That's allowed it to happen.
That's an indictment on you as a head coach. Like, why do you know I just had a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback who utilized this system. And now my starter, going into his now 5th year, who had the same opportunity is choosing not to. You know that. You know that. And you're allowing it to go on.
You were just
That is
like,
a major indictment of you.
you were just in there like, whatever you want, bud.
Well, he
Whatever
wasn't
you
even in
want.
there. He wasn't even in there. It's
Well, that's
just,
was, I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know if the VR or not. I'm not. He might be. They tell me he might be. He walks in
right.
that every now and then.
Right. I'm trusting what Joe Sloan is letting me know going on with the quarterback coach. Like with the quarterbacks in their development.
I
And
think
that's enough.
VR. I believe that. I don't think Joe Sloan liked the VR. I think Joe Sloan had an ego problem because
Oh,
I know
absolutely.
Joe Sloan did not. That was not a relationship that was eye to eye. Jaden did a
Absolutely.
lot of that, in not in spite of, but it was not a lot of
It was
Jaden
to get
Jaden Jones.
right. It was to get away from, or not get away from, but it was to okay, yeah, I went to practice, I work with you. Let me go really do what I need to do because
Let me
I'm
go.
not getting enough.
Yeah, let me go
I,
develop. I need to develop.
Right. I'm not getting enough, and we have these tools here in place where I should be. Like if everybody else isn't gonna do this, I am. I'm gonna take it upon myself, and I'm gonna do this extra work because this ain't it. Like this, it's got to be some more to this, and they have the resources available to make it more, and we're just not using it for what it should be used for. And I think when you sit back and you look at how everything transpired, I can understand why Scott Woodard made the decision in the way that he did because it's just like, all right, everything just come to a head. Like I've watched you lollygag around here for the last 2 years, and you're not taking steps forward. Jaden's last season was a major disappointment because of how piss poor the defense was. So you blow out the defensive staff, you bring them in, you have this elite level offense that is missing something. And that's an indictment for you to have an elite offense the year, but you had the number one offense in the country. You replaced them with an experienced quarterback with some talented receivers, but you allow them to not develop in a way, especially in a running game, to hold you back again. And then you roll into the next season with the same exact issue.
Mm-hmm. You regressed is the ultimate thing, which is crazy. That the best Brian Kelly team was the first one.
Right.
You got worse every year, right? Outside of
Right.
being superhuman with Malik and Brian Thomas, you regressed. They just were superhumans, but you got worse at everything every year outside of that trio. Everything else did like this until you hired Blake Baker, and then it was like, okay. But as the defense rose, the offense went to you had the worst
Kept
offense in
falling.
the history of the school this
Right.
year.
It kept falling. And everyone wants to look back and say, "Oh, you hadn't been able to rush the ball in 3 years." No, we hadn't been able to run the ball since Brian Kelly got here.
True.
The only reason why you were able to run the ball the first 2 seasons is because you had a freak athlete playing quarterback.
Yeah.
He was your running offense. He was the rushing offense. And once you lost that component, it blew the entire offense up. So these running issues that we're running into have been around and nobody really addressed it at all. And then you replaced it with a statue at quarterback. Look, I'm not trying to take shots at Nuss because I think Nuss can be good. Do I think that he, like settled for where he was in his first year as a starter? Absolutely. I think it went to his head a little bit. He went to the season as a
I agree.
Heisman favorite, as a consensus first round pick, top two quarterback in the draft before you ever take a snap in your fifth year. You're awarded the number 18. Like you had all the glitz and glamour of someone who never really truly accomplished enough to get that type of hype. Like Jaden went into his senior season and it was crickets. It was where can he get better at? It Everybody looked at Nuss as if though he was finished. And he still had a lot left to be desired. So
A lot.
right. So and as a coaching staff, you didn't make those adjustments necessary to one, hold him accountable, to bring him back down to earth, and then three, to develop him so he could see those heights and successes. And to be honest with you, I'm glad you didn't.
I
I'm
also
glad you didn't.
I'm also glad. I think like the biggest indictment on that was they never made adjustments offensively. I think
No.
anybody with a brain that watched him all year was like, why don't we roll Van Buren out and get him on a one read? You did it one time in the whole year, and it was the bowl game, and your offense looked okay. You're
It
like,
was serviceable.
didn't even look like just it looked like a pretty good offense.
Right.
It was so frustrating watching it that night because it's like it was validating but frustrating. It's like I've been saying this all year that we should do this, and everybody's been saying this, and then you magically do it, and ta-da, it worked. You
Right. It
it
wasn't it
up and it
wasn't
worked.
complicated. You're
They did
absolutely
it,
right.
they did it twice actually. They did it in the first half against Alabama. The
Alabama.
first
That's what I
drive
was about to go back to.
worked. Then they stopped doing it.
Yep.
What that it was like beating your head against the wall with that offensive staff, where it's like this isn't working, and you just keep doing it.
Right. You wanted to spread the ball and attack vertically, but you didn't earn the respect from the defense to be able to do that. One, because you
Because
couldn't
you
run the
run.
ball. Because you couldn't run the ball. And then you when you eliminate the half the field, run levels so that way your quarterback can make an easy read. He's reading touchdown, first down, and if it's not there, I check down or I run. Like you said, you did that against Alabama and you shot the bed in the second half, and then you stopped doing it all together again. Then it was bubble screens and deep posts. Like
That
absolutely atrocious. So, like I said, I'm glad that they did not do any of those things to improve because now I feel like we have a guy that, when you look back at this portal class, at how deep it is, at the multiple years of eligibility that these players have, and not saying that they're all going to stay for second years, but you can sell them on something. You can
yeah.
sell them on the fact that they're already here. You already have them in the building, so re-recruiting them won't be as much of a challenge, you know. So uh, I think you're setting yourself up for a real run at multiple appearances in the playoffs and potentially a dynasty.
Right. The expectation is going to be similar to what the baseball expectation is that you're at least
Hmm.
every year. And look, I'm not going to put the expectation on next year that you got to be a playoff team. I do think it's unfair. I think the ceiling is absolutely that. I think it's
Yeah.
unfair, though, to go, you need to be a top 16. I think it's unfair. Now, will I change my tune probably in August? Probably. But today I can sit here and go, I think it's unfair. I think you're probably a 9-3 10-2 team. It's a tough schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because when Lane first got hired, my best friend told me he was like, "Man, you think that this is a playoff team?" I was like, "Well, pump your brakes." Like he just got in the office.
Yeah.
Like settle down. Like let the man get a cup of coffee and change his shoes first before we start putting that on him. And then I kept like digging into him a little bit more and doing some research and seeing how he operated. And before the portal even opened, I went back and I told my friend, I was like, I think this team might go to the playoffs next year. He was like, hold on, wait a minute. You told me to slow down, and now you're saying that you think that they're going to go to the playoffs. I said, well, think about it. I think with this coach, LSU just went 7-6 with the bowl game. They went 7-5. We lost 3 games we had no business losing. And if you had a different play call in the building, your offense looks a lot better. Plain and
Yeah.
simple.
It'd have been night and day.
So you would have made the playoffs this year. Even with the tougher schedule, we're going to lose 2 losses. We're going to lose 2 games. It's just you just pencil in that November slate is absolutely brutal. I think
Gauntlet.
you lose one there for sure, and then you lose a game you probably have no business losing at some point in the season too. So you're going to have 2 losses. A 2-loss SEC team, when most of the SEC is going to have 1 to 2 losses as well, is going to make the playoffs. And I think you're going to be one of those teams. I think you finish 10-2, and I think you make the playoffs.
Look, I can see it, right? Like I'm not that's I can definitely see that happening. I just like to try to temper the
Temper expectations, yeah.
try to go like let's because my concern is that you go 9-3 next year and people are up in arms going like this guy's a clown, he can't coach, or the same old same old. And reality is, if you go 9-3 and that happens, that's going to be a lot of the rhetoric. You're going to hear that
Yeah.
a lot.
And to be
But
honest with you, I don't care. I don't care. And I'm gonna tell you why I don't care. Because you just came off a year where you went 7-6, and 9-3 was peak Brian Kelly. And I'm sick of having peak Brian Kelly as 9-3. If Lane Kiffin comes out the gate with this schedule and goes 9-3, that's a damn far better improvement, because we're sitting here in January, and if Brian Kelly would have been the coach, we're looking at the schedule trying to figure out where we're going to find 5 wins at. We're talking about this team potentially losing 3 games and being unsatisfied. You know why you're unsatisfied? Because you know you have better coaching. You know you have a better situation. You know you have better staff. So please be pissed off at the team going 9-3, because you have hope again. And that hope let you down. But don't be so pissed off at the fact that you went 9-3 that you want to run him out of town. That's not it. Because I can tell you this, it's not going to get any better. Anybody else in this conference wants him as their coach outside of Georgia. That's the only school that wouldn't want him. Even Texas is getting frustrated with Steve Sarkisian.
Yeah, that's like everybody's biggest known secret is that seat's going to get hot if he doesn't.
What?
If he goes 9-3 again, that seat's going to get hot in Austin. I believe that they'll sit there and push back and say, "Well, we were a play away from the playoffs this year. We have 2 back-to-back semifinals." If they go 9-3 again, that seat's going to start to heat up.
I think personally it's already warm, because and it's because of unfair expectations. Everybody came in, you know, expecting Texas to be good. You get Quinn Ewers, you have him for 2 years. You think that you're going to go on a run, and then you pull in Arch Manning. Arch Manning comes in, and he's behind Quinn Ewers for a year. You have a loaded quarterback room. You make it to the playoffs, and you kind of have a dud performance. Arch starts his first season, and everybody thinks that he's going to walk in the door and play like Joe Burrow did in 2019. And it was unfair expectations.
Super unfair. Arch had a good year.
Arch had a very good year.
The joke was always, if his name was Arch Smith, he wouldn't have been a 5-star.
Absolutely.
If his name was Arch Smith, you'd have a different conversation this offseason. Be like, wait, Texas is bringing back a 3,000-yard passer with 37 total
37 touchdowns?
Like, you'd be having a but because he's Arch Manning, people are like, remember the Florida game where he kind of sucked? It's like, yeah, but remember back into the year, he was as good as anybody.
Joe Burrow in 2018 went the entire month of October without throwing a single passing touchdown.
People forget that stuff.
Like, let's not sit up here and act like guys can't get better. Elite quarterbacks do rise. And look, don't get me wrong. I understand why some people are bringing up Arch's old, high school tape. He didn't play against the toughest level of competition. But you got to give this kid credit for the growth that he made throughout the season. And it's these unfair expectations that people have for him and that staff. Look, you lost an NFL offensive line. Like, yeah. Kelvin Banks is probably the highest rated rookie offensive lineman in the league right now, playing for the Saints. That was your starting left tackle last year. Your offensive line took a step back. So, of course, your offense is going to look a little rusty. It's going to look a little off because those running backs don't have the same lanes. The quarterback didn't have the same amount of time. And then it's a first-year starting quarterback who had to go on the road to Columbus and play what was the best team in the regular season in Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a lot to overcome out the gate. So do I think that the seat is going to be hot for Sarkisian? I think it already is, and nobody wants to talk about it. But I also think it's because of it's unfair expectations placed upon him. And I think that right now, people are going to try to do the same thing with Lane. You're going to have a top 10 team going into the season.
Yeah. You're probably 8th.
Yes. Like you're going to be ranked anywhere between 7 and 12 going into next season. And a lot of people are going to look at LSU The national prognosticators are going to look and say, well, can they? But a lot of people coming closer to home are going to be like, well, they should.
Yes.
They should. It's not a question. It's they should. I'm of the ilk of, can they? I think they can. I don't I don't want to say yes they should yet because I don't know what's going to roll out there. This team has to come together.
They do. Again, we
That
haven't seen on the field yet. And then when you look at the schedule, like we've been clowning Ole Miss, and we did kind of punk Ole Miss, and we snatched their chain.
ain't no
But
counter. Ain't no kind of. We punked them.
they're going to still be a good team if they got Trinidad. Like he's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the country. Like that's just who he is as a player. They're going to be Kentucky got a lot better. I think Kentucky got a lot better. I think
I'm interested. So I've been thinking about this Trinidad situation a lot. And it's because I think that this kid is really talented, but I think a lot of that talent came from the growth that he was able to make week to week, right? So if we're looking at Trinidad and
yeah.
we're talking about how good he is, what really made him good? And I think it's the fact that he had coaches to put him in position to highlight his skill set. I don't think he has that anymore. Now, will the talent be able to rise? Maybe. But Oxford lost a lot.
A ton, right? They got me.
They lost. Well, they see when you get so entitled, like what they are right now, you get blind to the potential regression that you can have. They think that everything is just status quo, and they're gonna roll the ball out, spot it, and go 11-1 again. And it's not gonna be that easy. They have a hard schedule too, and they don't know who their real offensive line is. Like they're hyping up a guy that they got from Miami who was a backup.
Look, and I get why they're mad. I think they have every right to be upset. What essentially happened with them is they started dating a chick before she got hot. She got hot. They thought they were him, and then she went, I'm going to go leave for the starting quarterback on the football team. Right? So they don't really. They're going, well, we're still him. It's like, no, you're not. She just realized her worth and went join where she belongs.
Right. Like you didn't even play a part in making her hot. Like she made herself hot. Like she was already hot once before. She fell off, got her life back together, and then realized I kind of need to step up again.
Like, brother, she brought you into the party.
Right. Like
I didn't take the party without her.
Absolutely. You couldn't get inside the club.
Exactly.
But because of who she was bringing you into the scene. You made some friends with, and you rubbed some elbows with some people, and you got the delusion that you were the one that they were letting in. Whole time you had a buddy pass. That's who Oxford is.
And you finna roll back out with this other chick that people are gonna be like, she not allowed in here. Y'all gonna get up in this club with old Miss Pete Golding.
Allowed? They're gonna look at you at the door like, who are you again? Oh, you were the dude that was dating old girl who's in there right now. Yeah, she's not gonna let you in here.
Yeah,
she don't want you in here. So, like when and Pete brings up a good question. Paul brings up a good question. Does the Clemson Ole Miss situation affect the Trinidad situation, and does he choose to go to the league? Buddha, Kentucky hired Joe Sloan. Get out of here.
But here's my look. That's very valid, and I know that's everybody's pushback against it. Their head coach is an offensive mind.
That part. That's what I go back to.
And the thing is that Joe Sloan, his thing is quarterbacks. Supposedly, I don't know if I believe it, but I can see where it's not going to be his offense. Like he's not going to run it off. So I think they upgrade it. Stein's a really good. They got a good play caller because Joe
Will Stein is really good.
Yeah, that's it.
And I don't think people want to give him the credit. I think like everybody's sandbagging Will Stein from Louisiana because he hired Joe Sloan and what we just went through. So I completely agree with you on that. I don't think Joe Sloan is going to have any impact on building the game plan, on making play calls. I don't think he's going to, I think he's just going to be there to assist and to assist Will Stein in his philosophy. I think if anything, this is going to help Joe Sloan um, develop as a play caller. And Paul asks, what quarterback did Joe Sloan develop? None.
None, but that's
None.
the mystique is that that's supposed to be his specialty. Has it been? Absolutely not.
No, the mystique with Joe Sloan was that he had an in with Bryce Underwood, and that
True.
flopped. And then once that,
you also got to like the Stein hiring him. Like that makes sense to me. Stein knows it's his offense. You got to have a guy that has eyeballs in there, and like, but are you going to want to bring in a guy that maybe takes a little? You got to make sure it's your
right?
Like I get the hire. I do think they improved on that side of the ball, not because in spite of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Paul asks another question. Will Stein is great. Yes. What does Kentucky's defense look like? Their O-line coaches in BR. Sloan cannot develop QBs. No, you're absolutely right. Their defense is Kentucky. I don't care. Like, like the most traction Kentucky ever got out of me was the fact that Sam Levitt went and visited, and then they signed Joe Sloan. I don't care what goes on in Kentucky. They're a basketball school. They're absolutely irrelevant on the football field. We will beat the dog snot out of them every time we get an opportunity to, and we will push them in lockers when it comes to recruiting football players. Screw Kentucky. That's the end. Like, we don't care about Kentucky.
I agree. I think my statement was more on that they're going to be better than they probably were last.
Yeah, right. And I think they took a step. Look, getting rid of Mark Stoops and hiring Will Stein is a step up.
Yeah, and I think you look at the schedule when I make the comment like, well, Kentucky got better. It's not that I think you lose the Kentucky game. I think you beat the brakes off of Kentucky.
Right.
But when I look at teams like Mississippi State, who you're you're better than. But are they good enough to give you some issues and maybe expose something that you need to work?
Can they stress you?
Yes. And does that affect you 2 weeks down the road?
Right.
Can there be a lingering effect of the school that gets better?
Right. And that's one of those things where it's like you kind of wish you played those schools later in the year.
Yes.
Because that November gauntlet is made up of teams that you don't want to have that type of film available for them to study. Exactly. That's exactly what your point is alluding to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Paul said, Paul going back to the Ole Miss Clemson thing. Does Clemson Ole Miss go to court? Does that push Trent to the league to walk away from a volatile program in Oxford? No. My opinion is this. I don't think Trinidad's going to the league at any point because scouts are telling him that he's a day 2, day 3 pick. That's $2 million. Would you go to the league if you had $5 million sitting on the table?
No, especially it's $5 million where you are Superman,
right? Where you're the guy.
Better situation. You're a superhero on campus.
Right.
You're him.
Right. Like you don't have to use a dime of your own money.
Exactly.
For anything in Oxford, Mississippi. No, exactly. I wouldn't leave. To go to the league, to go to a team that I'm gonna have to fight for playing time, fight to make the roster. Just to get a piece of the $2 million contract, because that $2 million contract is not fully guaranteed. So you have to make the roster and hope that you can see 2 to 3 years to get that. When I got $5 million for 6 months worth of work, I'm going to Oxford. I don't care what's going on. As long as my check's clear, I'm going to Ole Miss. Yeah. So I think he's going to be there. The Clemson situation, I don't think much of anything is going to come out of it, to be honest with you. Because there is legal tampering, I think the NCAA is pretty weak as it is. Is it enough to make headlines to inspire some things to try to change? Yes. But nothing will. But to be honest with you, I'm glad it's happening because it's screw Ole Miss. You got called out for your hypocrisy. That's why I'm glad it's happening.
It's been nuts how they've acted. They're blaming what they did. They still found a way to blame that situation on Lane Kiffin, which is craziness, but they did it. Right. They found a way to blame Lane Kiffin for them going tamper with Clemson.
To answer your question, Paul, he says, how is he a day 2, 3 guy, though, after a pro day combine? How is he not a top 2, 3 Q? Size.
What's going on right now with Lane? I just got 2 texts that are like, what's going on with Lane? Lane train, ... So I am the know what's happening because I'm on my phone, so I don't. I'm just getting.
Well, I don't see anything that's breaking as far as Lane being the co-marshal, the co-grand marshal for Endymion.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I shared that story earlier.
This very much so could be somebody just got the people are ticked off about the hats he posted. The guy texted. There's a chance that this is a late thing. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't
Yeah,
a lot wrong.
nothing new outside of that. But yeah, like he it's the size. Like that's why he's, a day two. And then also there's a 1 year wonder type of mentality with him too. Like he's only started for 10 games out of the 12 that they played.
Yeah,
And he came literally out of nowhere. So the NFL doesn't buy hype. And they can't. They can't afford. It's $1 billion business. It's $1 billion industry
yeah,
with,
not
and it
going to.
right. And it's not like he's a running back, right? It's not like he's a left tackle that came off the bench and surprised everybody. I mean, look at what happened with Cordell Jones at Ohio State that year. He came as
Mhm.
the third string quarterback and led Ohio State to win the national championship. He still didn't make it in the league. And he had the size and he went on a run. He actually finished the deal. But the NFL doesn't buy hype like how we as fans do. Do I think that Trinidad can ball at any level he's at? Yeah. Do I think he's going to get a fair shot when he goes to the league? Nope. He's going to have to earn everything he gets. They don't give a damn that he played at Ole Miss. Honestly, they're probably giving him less of credit because of how great Lane Kiffin is
True.
as a play caller and play designer. Like it can be the system because they've seen guys like Matt Corral be flashes in the pan for Lane Kiffin come into the league and struggle. So until he does it at an elite level, like he would have to go on and almost match statistically what Joe Burrow did his Heisman year for him to be considered a top two quarterback in the league. Like he's got to
I would
just
agree.
absolutely blow the doors off of all the competition. And to be honest with you, that will never happen because they don't have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on that offense. So it's not going to happen.
He's going to be. I think, like you touched on it, he's going to make an NFL roster, but the likelihood that he's ever talked about again is very low.
Yep.
He'll more than likely be buried on a depth chart somewhere. Because again, like, is it fair? No, but like, who's the comp? Who's the professional comp to him? There isn't one, and it's $1 billion industry. They want things that they feel like are surefire hits.
Yep.
They want to minimize risk. If you don't have anybody in the league that go, I play like him. Look how good he is. Then they don't want to take.
His highest ceiling to me will be a guy like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
And
which is
and to this day, like if you look at Baker Mayfield right now, Baker Mayfield would be a second round, third round pick. Like for what he's doing. Like, do I think Baker Mayfield is the number one? Is he playing like a number one overall pick? No.
no, not even close.
Is he a good, serviceable quarterback who's had to go through a lot of things to get to where he is? Yes. He deserves to be a starting quarterback in the league. Absolutely. But he's not even paid like one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So, like, you have to understand that when it comes to this. Like, and I think Trinidad could be on that, like, and that's his height. That's at his peak. At his peak is Baker Mayfield. And if his peak is mid in the NFL, guess what mid gets you? A mid-round draft pick.
It does. Right. And again, the NFL still, no matter what we want to say, the NFL still looks at big body quarterbacks who
Yep.
can throw off platform. That's what they want. That's why guys like Tyler Shuck, who you probably never heard of in college and was not a big name, that's why he got to the second round because he's a big frame quarterback who can throw off platform. Those
And then
always have the upper hand in the
yeah,
NFL.
absolutely right. And then he came in and justified it.
Exactly.
So they're only going to double down on that fact even more so now. Like when you look at the smaller level quarter, like think about guys that are under 6 feet who got drafted in the first and second rounds. Kyler Murray won a Heisman. Drew Brees was so accurate at Purdue, you can't teach that. What is the skill that Trinidad has that cannot be taught? He's okay at accuracy. His arm strength
Probably
is all right.
it's
He's elusive in the backfield, but
his best trait that's not coachable is probably the moxie. He does seem to make the plays when you have to have them, which you can't teach. And that is a skill set that it seems like he has. To this point,
right,
he's at least shown that.
right. But guess who else had that? Jackson Dart,
True.
Matt Corral. Like even Nuss had swag too. You know, like you're a quarterback. You better have some damn swag.
Well, we watch guys who don't, and it never works out.
And it never works out.
I can't
It
think of one.
never works out.
It doesn't.
It never works out. So no, I don't think Trinidad, there's not a chance in hell that Trinidad's going to the draft this year.
Would agree.
And he shouldn't. Honestly, I don't want him to. I want him to come back to Ole Miss. I want to go to Ole Miss, and I want to beat him and Keywan Lacey together, plain and simple. And I want to see how Pete Golding's offense is going to hold up against Lane. I mean, Pete Golding's defense is going to hold up against Lane Kiffin's offense. Because I'm telling you right now, they're going to try to replicate that offense in Ole Miss again.
Well, they brought back Lane's old OC from Eastern Carolina. I think the thing that Charlie Weiss and Lane don't get enough credit for is not just their pure scheme; it's the in-game adjustments they are the best in the sport at in-game adjustments. That's what they're going to miss the most. I think they're going to have a guy that can scheme it up. Can he make the adjustments not at halftime? Can he make the adjustments mid-drive, which is what Lane and Charlie are savants at?
That's why Lane wanted Charlie. Yep. That's why Lane wanted Charlie so much. Yeah, John David Baker. That's why Lane wanted Charlie so much, because they're in sync with that. They share that same ilk, that artistry. Play calling is an art form, especially on offense. Like you see the guys like Sean McVay, Sean Payton, like they're able to dial up the right play at the exact right time because of their feel for the game. It's not, like you said, the halftime adjustments. It's that's what they're doing this drive. Bet I got a counter for that. Let's just run this. No, we hadn't put this on the play sheet, but I know I need to call this play right now. And I don't think John David Baker can do that. And because of that, you get Lane Kiffin, like we talked about early, paired up with Blake Baker, who I feel is a better defensive coordinator than what Pete Golding will ever be. And they're going to dismantle this Ole Miss offense. Keywan Lacey's not going to go off like how he did.
No.
It's not.
No. I think you're going to beat Ole Miss handily. Because I don't think there's definitely a personal side for Lane.
Yep.
I think he's going to make a statement if he can. Basically to go like, you wanted the full answer as to why I left to come here? Here it is. You're getting it. Because I can throttle.
It's funny you say that, Buddha, because I was watching Mike Scarborough and Buddy Saundry the other night, and Buddy said, I'm telling you right now, Lane Kiffin's going to put up 40 on Ole Miss in Oxford. And I was like, you know what?
He definitely is.
I think Buddy's right. I think Lane is going to drop 40 on Ole Miss, and the defense is going to really stymie that offense, and it's going to be that's going to be the game that wakes the nation up.
Yes.
And let them know that, oh, shit, LSU is for real.
What's the first game in the Lane Kiffin era where you're really going to be on the pedestal? Like, obviously, the Clemson will be big. That one's going to be the one that the entire country – that game's going to break viewership records. That game is going to be like, oh, my goodness, and Lane's going to know that. Realistically, do I think Ole Miss is a top 15 team? No. They're probably going to be ranked in the top 15 when you play them.
Yep.
So it's going to be a top 15 that everybody wants to see, and Lane's going to make a point to go, I made the right decision. Y'all can keep whining. I made the right call.
Absolutely, man. Well, we're gonna wrap up because the playoffs are about to kick off in 5 minutes. I could keep doing this all day. And and look, we got to make this happen again. I did want to ask you this because I text you when I I was watching your pod when Sam made his announcement. I was watching the
Yeah.
pod, and I thought it was live.
Yeah.
I
No.
thought it was live. If you're not subscribed, go and subscribe to First and 12 OZ Pod. Go subscribe right now. It's an amazing pod. Buddha and the boys do a great job over there. You picked Miami. And when I heard you say I think he's going to Miami, it was announced that Sam was going to LSU. So
It's crazy.
how do you feel having it out there that you thought it was going to be Miami, but it ended up being LSU?
Well, first of all, you'll know this too. If you do enough on the internet, you're going to be wrong a lot more than you're right.
Right.
It was one of those where it's like, this couldn't have been worse timing. Because we released it and all the news broke essentially immediately following my dumb ass going, I think it's Miami. And basically within 10 minutes later, it was like, no, he's going to LSU. I thought the LSU thing had sailed. Because what I got told was that, like, they told people to go F themselves, yada, yada. I was like, there's no way. You can't get back in this race. You burned the relationship.
Right.
You slapped them in the face. And they're going like, actually, I wanted a hug. They did the unthinkable. And that was really my awakening to go in. I'm just going to trust Lane. What he's done. But, it's just one of those things. If you're on the internet as much as I am and as much as you are, like,
yeah, man. Well, look, guys, I appreciate y'all joining us today, man. We're going to wrap things up. I'm thinking, the Super Bowl matchup is going to be Seahawks. I think it's going to be the Patriots. I kind of want to see Denver do it. I kind of want to see Denver pull it off with the backup, but I'm going to go Seahawks, Patriots. My wife picked the Seahawks to make it to the Super Bowl before the playoffs kicked off. And honestly, like, if I bet with my wife's picks, I would have made money. Like, she's been like hot.
Isn't it frustrating?
Hot, bro.
Isn't it?
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, on an absolute heat. Only thing she missed on, because her bias got to her. She's a Steelers fan. Don't ask. But she let her bias get the best of her. She picked the Steelers to make it to the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. But once they lost, she's been spot on ever since. Like, that got out the way, and it's like, all right, I'm about to ask her for her picks in a second here so I can place my bets. But y'all go enjoy yourselves. Follow Buddha on Twitter and on TikTok. Subscribe to the pod. Make sure y'all hit the like and subscribe. Share this out. Let's get this out there. Thanks again, Buddha. We got to hit this up and do this again, man. This was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you, dude. It's been a blast. Let's definitely do it again.
Absolutely, man. Y'all take it easy. I'll holler at y'all later.